Welcome to another episode of ERAtv, where we have a little fun with the movers and shakers of the DR industry. I'm Craig Burnett. With me is Lee Swanson from Triton Technologies. Lee, good to see you.
Hey, good seeing you
now,
too.
Before we get into the interview, I know that you're the outgoing chair.
That's correct.
Of the ERA. I spoke to Jeff Tuller yesterday, who's the incoming chair.
Yes.
Can he have that chair?
He can have that chair. I sat in that chair for 1 year.
Is it in your garage or something? We can send somebody to get it. David, can we get somebody to go get the chair?
You know what we struggle with here is outgoing chair, ex-chair, past chair. I like lounge chair. I'm now in the lounge chair.
And if you had an offspring in the business, it could be the Sunny chair.
There you go.
And you do have an offspring in the business. We'll talk about that in a second. So you, most people know you had amazing success with Hooked on Phonics in the mid-90s. How does it feel to have been involved in a product that's on the lips of practically everyone in America and have a product that is part of the American lexicon? How does that make you feel?
Well, great, because certainly it was a product, not only did it have brand and recognition throughout the country, 97% recognition throughout the country, but it was a product I felt really proud of selling because it helped people.
Sure.
And so when you have moms say, listen, you can't believe what this product's done for my son or my daughter, they couldn't read, they now are reading and going into college, great feeling. So it was a super product, great, and it was a great run. I loved it.
That's not a feeling that a lot of the folks in this industry can get from people, because if you sweep something up, it's great, but it's not a life-changing experience. And you were instrumental in changing a lot of people's lives.
Yep, and felt really great about it because I got at least 10 calls a day from moms who would call me and say, what a wonderful product.
That's
Makes
great.
You feel good. When I went home every night, I felt good about what I did.
There's nothing better than that. You, as we said, we're past president of chair of the ERA. What do you think ERA has done for the industry? Has it brought it out of the darkness and from behind the curtain? What value does ERA have to the industry itself?
Well, I think the value ERA has established, it has put some professionalism in this industry. And it had been tainted in the past. There were some players that weren't above board, and that was an issue for us.
Yeah.
And we have brought some folks and put some things in place that regulate our industry. We have a self-regulation program, for example, and we review the products, we review the claims. We are heavily involved with FTC. We've brought credibility to the industry, and that's what ERA has done.
And it's that proactiveness that's going to keep the industry from being beset upon by the federal government regulations, don't you think?
Yeah, well, absolutely, yes. Yeah. And so we're heavily involved in that, and we're the watchful eye over the industry.
Are there still the number of rapscallions out there that there have been in the past, or are we seeing fewer and fewer of those?
Well, we're seeing fewer and fewer of them, but they're always in any industry. I don't care if it's retail, I don't care what it is. Certainly in the finance industry, we've had them as well.
Yeah.
So certainly in this industry, we will still have our share of them, but we are the watchdogs of this industry. And so there are fewer today than there have been in the past.
Right. What, when you've been involved in dealing with products and in product, in commercial production and things like that, what did you trust more? Did you trust your instinct more or your experience?
Instincts in this industry is extremely tough. I mean, if somebody would have told me, and I think Anthony, just prior to me, had indicated, if anybody would have guessed that Snuggie was going to captivate the audience and make the phones ring, nobody would have guessed that, and that, me included. So I don't think there's any magic formula, but it's a testing kind of environment. So you have a product, you have an idea, you have to have faith, you go out there and do it. For me, it's experience.
Sure.
I've dealt with educational products, I've dealt with fitness products. I kind of know now what works in our environment, so it's more experience than it is intuition.
How much do people discount the Teleservices sector, which is what you're in with Triton Technologies now? How much do people forget to think about that in the early stages of a campaign or putting something together for a client? It seems to me I've produced great infomercials, and it's the back end where things seem to fall apart. Talk a little bit about some of the misperceptions of the teleservice industry.
Well, we're last in the chain, so it's a bit difficult because we're certainly experts in a lot of different areas, including production, including creative, including offer strategy. Those are so important on the front end of a production that we typically don't get involved in it until it's broken. So we try to be a little bit more proactive in how we deal with our clients on the front end. So if we're fortunate enough to get involved in the front end, and I can give good advice on how a creative ought to be produced and what ought to be in that creative. The telemarketing industry, perception is kids on telephones with earrings and baggy pants. That's now changed. Our environment has changed primarily because of the economy. Over the last 2 years, there are a lot of unemployed folks.
Right.
So the operation I run in Phoenix, Arizona, for example, we have about 100 people on the phones today. Those 100 people, average age is about 40, not 22 like it used to be, and they're professionals. And they are out of work, and so we create this environment for them that at least they have a job until they can find something else that suits their interests better. So that environment has now changed.
Would you say that the telemarketing can be the key to success of a product? Maybe it's this close to being wildly successful, and when they make that phone call, a good agent on the other end can make that sale and make all the difference in the world?
It does in certain aspects, and certainly on a soft offer where the price is not known. A salesperson is really required on that telephone to make it work, and that will make or break a program. There's no doubt in my mind. You have to have professionals on the phone that know how to deal with the consumer and know how to sell. And certainly, yes, we make and break campaigns at our level.
Yeah. Now, your son Scott is in the business. How does that feel to have someone second generation kind of following? I don't know if he's following specifically in your footsteps, but how does that feel to have him involved?
Well, I'm very proud of that because certainly he has fallen in love with the industry like me, and probably because of me. But I introduced him into this industry about 15 years ago. And he has been in love with it ever since. And I don't know if you know this, but he runs a competitive call center. So we are competitors, and people just I don't think they quite recognize that. And it's interesting when when he comes over to the house and brings his wife, and we'll do a barbecue in the backyard. Rarely do we talk business.
Yeah.
We talk family. And it doesn't rarely come up.
So, but it hasn't caused problems, though.
It has not ever caused a problem. As a matter of fact, we refer business to one another. If something doesn't fit his organization, he'll pick up a phone, call me, and say, "Listen, I've got this client. I don't think I can service this client. It's more yours than mine." And so we refer business to one another. So it's a friendly, competitive, family atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, and I think that speaks to his upbringing, don't you think? That he's not beating you up on a daily basis?
I'd like to take credit for it, but I think it's more mom than me. It's,
That's the way it is at my house, I can tell you that much. Lee, thanks so much for being with us. Great to speak to a pioneer in the business.
All right, thank you very much.
And thank you for watching ERAtv. I'm Craig Burnett. We'll see you next time.